Hey guys, Robbie here, one of your instructors at Jazzercise Spring Climb, bringing you this week's Technique Tip Tuesday. And this week we're going to take it very simple to the basics and talk about isolations. Isolations are what we do in our very first routine getting warmed up. You'll recognize it where we start with the head, looking various directions, shoulders, ribs, and hips. So each one is a little bit different. Today I want to focus on ribs and hips. So in order to get a really good isolation, the first thing you need to do is sink down into those legs a little bit. Bend the knees, anchor yourself down to the ground, and square your hips. We're going to start with our upper torso first. So we have two kinds of isolations that we do. A side to side and a forward and backward. Release and contract. So on this release and contract, I want you to think about not moving through the shoulders, but opening the core, pulling the ribs and hips away from each other, and then sinking them back in. You'll notice my shoulders do move a little bit, but it's only because the rest of my torso is moving. So think, front is open, shoulders are nice and pulled back, and close. Shoulders are still pulled back even though it brings the front part of the body forward a little. So to go side to side, you want to make sure your hips do not move. So anchor down into them. Let your torso slide away from your opposite hip and back over to the other side. So now, of course, we use the same move in other routines where we get to have a little fun with it. So always drop down into that base to give yourself the full range of motion. Same goes for your hips. It's the exact same principle, but in this case, instead of your hips staying still and your torso moving, you want your torso to stay while your hips do the work. Of course, there are many different ways that we can work the hip isolation, but the basic movement is to allow the hips to move without the rest of the body moving. You may want to get in front of a mirror and watch to see if your torso is staying still or if it's moving to the side. Once you get comfortable with this move, you can speed it up. You can take it in a circle. But the trick is to really anchor down and bend those knees. The more bend you have in those knees, the more flexibility you have to make it a little more fun. So I really encourage you guys to practice this in front of a mirror because these moves are so good for you for a number of reasons, not just getting them warm and having fun, but it truly strengthens all of the muscles, especially those core muscles, doing these hips and rib isolations. So practice them so when you come to class, you can do them knowing that you're doing them right. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.